Okay, top 3 players for your club this season. Benny, let's start with you.
Can we just do one?
Evil, man.
Can we just do one player, please? Nobody else like
You got
makes
pick
me
3?
just Thiago. I'm gonna go Thiago Silva. That's it.
You got
I
3?
all right. If I have to, and I have to say, he's been stinking enjoyed a bit too, but I'll go Kepa and man, why are you doing this to me, man? Like I have watching the games is so painful right now. Like everybody just makes me upset.
That's how
Everybody.
That's how bad Chelsea have been. That's true.
That's it's just bad. It's really bad. But if I have to go another one, and people, I'll probably get a lot of pushback from Chelsea fans on this, but I'd say Kai Havertz. I'd say Kai. Normally I'd say Joao, but he just came in the middle of the season, so I'll go Kai. Kai's been he hasn't really produced much. He's been asked to play striker, and he's not a striker. It's like an attacking midfielder, but he's been asked to play that week in week out. And I just availability is your best. Availability is the best ability. Reece James would be up there, but man is made of glass now. Like you can't rely on him for anything. He's so strong, but so brittle. Like it's strange to me. And Chelsea fans want to just build the team around him. Like, how do you build a team around someone who is rarely ever there? He has major injury issues that will be like for the next couple of years will be very concerning to the Chelsea board. That they need to do something about that. So yeah, Thiago Silva, Kepa, Havertz.
It's like scraping the barrel, I mean, I'll go with Alisson. Alisson doesn't deserve to be through what he's going through right now. I mean, I saw some stats. I think he's saved almost 10 plus guaranteed goals from going in. So you don't deserve every mistake he makes. I don't sweat because exactly. So Alisson, and then the other two. Firmino, he got unlucky with injuries, but he was our best player all season up until he got injured. But I'll stick with him. He's my boy. He's leaving soon, so I'll go Firmino, and then Salah, I guess. I don't know, because he scored.
He has had a decent season. He has had over 20 goals, right?
A great season.
He has had over 20 goals all competitions. I saw that.
I guess.
Yeah. It's easy. Again, like I said, we can name a lot. I think I'll maybe just mention some other guys that I don't think get credit. So I think obviously Xhaka, the season he's having, like just in general, like I can't even believe he's got so many goal contributions this year. I never thought he had him. And then Gabriel at the back. I know everybody talks about Saliba every week, but Gabriel is kind of like he's the proper defender back there. And then Ramsdale, because even for the results that we've had, like he makes big saves. He makes mistakes. Again, he's a young goalkeeper, and we're asking him to do a lot with his feet. That, again, I didn't even know he had in him when we signed him, but he makes big saves. And, again, you can kind of go back to some of these crazy games that we've had recently, Bournemouth, Aston Villa, big save from Ramsdale, then we go down the other end and we get a result in the end. So them three, just special mention. And Martinelli's the other one because he scores the big goal normally, like the first goal in a game or the equalizer in the game. Saka's the guy that kind of finishes things off more times than none. But Martinelli gets like really decisive goals normally. First goal against Liverpool, that type of thing. But the three that we can't play without, like if Arsenal are going to do anything, they need Saka, they need Odegaard, and they need Partey. It's them three. Like Saka, Odegaard. Like Saka's got 20-something goal contributions with 10 games left in the season. Like the numbers he's putting up is crazy at 21. It's quite scary because of the way, and again, he takes a beating as well. Like the amount of kicks he gets, I still don't know how Arteta lets him play so many minutes. But Saka is the one from a attacking standpoint. Odegaard makes everything tick. He might not get the same output in terms of goals, etc. But when he's in the team, we're much more devastating in terms of what we can do in the final third, and then he leads the press as well. And then Partey just dictates the game. Like if you don't have Partey, you can counter-attack an Arsenal. It's that simple. Jorginho does a job when he comes in, but we play very differently with him. Like we can't let Xhaka go as far forward. We can't let Zinchenko get as far forward. when Partey's in there, you can't counter attack on us as easy because he just basically mops up everything. So, but them three are kind of just been they're the must-haves basically. They're the top boys for the team. But yeah, again, like you say, everybody's playing well, everybody's doing their job. And even on now, everybody said we didn't have a squad, and then we got Trossard coming in, and he's got 6 goal contributions in however many games already. So it's just it's a good team, young team, and they've added in some experience where they needed it to kind of help get over the line, we hope. So we'll see how it goes.
I'm so happy for you guys, more than you know. So happy.
Whatever.
My top 3 players to end the podcast. Of course, Rashford. He's been a player of the season. We're Rashford FC. Goal wise, everything. Threat, Martinez, Lisandro. I mean, there were so many comments about his height, your man, Carragher was. He had to apologize. I know he came on the podcast. I had to apologize. All the nonsense he was talking about Lisandro. He doesn't watch other leagues talking about like, oh, it's height. Guys, immense. And I think my third person is Casemiro. He's had this suspension and discipline. Casemiro, man, that guy's doing donkey work in that midfield, man. He's doing a lot. So those are my top 3 players. Spurs. Let me just take this comment off it. I'll give context, right? I think Conte is going to get sacked, whether they hold on to the end of the season or by international break. Since they're not done it now, I'm thinking they're going to hold on. I think. I don't know what's going on.
If he was going to get sacked, they'd have done it already.
They'd have done it already.
Okay.
Yeah. He just flipped the finger at them, like at that conference, and just left.
No, and they just told him, go Italy, cool off, and see you in 2 weeks. Come back. They don't care. His contract's up. So his contract's up at the end of the season. Everybody knows he's a dead man walking. So Levy's like, I'm going to go and find my manager, and they start on the 1st of June. Like, I don't care.
Exactly.
But I guess that's probably what the more topical issue there is. What is more important to you? Your ego versus, okay, I don't want to pay you out versus top 4 is on the line. Like, what is Levy doing? I don't get that.
But
the champion
is it really? Like, who's the manager? Like, okay, unless they're going to bring back Poch, devil's advocate, unless they're going to bring back Pochettino, who are they bringing in there now to take over from Conte?
That's true. I don't
They're
know.
probably saying just wait until the end of the season. Because again, they could go get Luis Enrique, never managed in the league before.
Yeah.
Probably doesn't speak the language.
The players they have are the players they have. So again, change of style, change of system, even though they don't really have a system right now.
No, they don't.
What do you do? Like, I just think Conte's got too much pride to sit there and not manage the team through the end of the season. Like, as much as he's self-sabotaging, look where they are in the table. It's like, just manage the 10 games. You need to do what you need to do till you get another job at the end of it anyway. Like, I can see where they probably already know who they're bringing in, and they're just going to let him see it out.
I honestly think they would have sacked him, but for that interview, I think they were probably just waiting for the next loss or something, and then they would have pulled the trigger. But now everyone's sort of anticipating it, and they don't want to do it because it will draw too much attention back to that interview. So he's probably done himself a favor. They still will replace him, but he's just bought himself probably a bit of time. I reckon he's bought himself time to the end of the season because at this point, you know, it is what it is. Changing the manager will probably cause a bit more disruption. They might have that little spell, you know, where you get with the first 2 games of a new manager where you win. Everyone thinks, oh, the good times are back. And then, you know, it's just straight back to normal. You know, space. I can't even say space. And loads of teams go through that, you know, all them bottom teams that change the manager. Next game's against Liverpool. They'll beat Liverpool. Oh, my God, the good we're back. And then they go back right straight back to how they were before. New manager syndrome. They don't want that. It doesn't really do anything for you, you know, when you change the manager at this point. You might as well just wait out. If you Spurs anyway, you know, they're struggling to get top 4. If they get a new manager, they're still going to be struggling.
No, this manager is taking that sports job now. They'll wait until the new season. That's why Levy can't sack Conte now. Just leave him there to the end of the season.
Do you guys think that Levy is going to try to sell some of these agent stars? Kane and Son, for instance.
Yeah. I don't think Son goes. I think Kane goes. I think Kane goes because he's got 2 years on his contract.
All right.
Oh, 1 more year.
It's just a year, 24, right?
So I don't think they can afford
Not to sell him now.
Not to sell him now. Like if he tries to keep him and then Kane walks for free, then Levy deserves every pitchfork shooting, whatever. Like that would be typical Spurs to say, okay, he convinces them that he's not going anywhere and he ends up
right.
Like, again, this is a club that's lived through Sol Campbell. They can't do that again.
Harry Kane literally, he doesn't know them.
I see Harry Kane literally. I literally see Harry Kane wearing matches, like being matches.
That's the only place he can go or should go.
He should have been there a while ago. Like he signed that new contract. I was like, what?
But again,
I guess he wanted the record, maybe.
About that sign, though, I really feel some type of way, but that's a different podcast. I feel some type of that sign. You know, United fans are on it. I'm not on it.
It'd be a bad signing for United, but it'd be typical United. They're gonna spend 100 million on a 30-year-old striker, and then 2 years from now have to do it again. Like,
right now, the 12th place team is Crystal Palace. They're on 27 points. The 19th place team is Bournemouth. They're on 24 points, just 3 points. So literally everybody from 12th to 20th, at least for now, before any gap appears, can go down. This is madness. 10 games, 11 games, whatever it is to go. I don't think I've ever seen this before. Like 12, like 8 teams are in danger of going down, right? There's 8 teams. All over 9 teams go down.
9 teams, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. So I guess we are talking about what do you think, what has led to this closest relegation battle in the Premier League, in your thoughts? I think I'll start with Stephen. I feel like Stephen is the Premier League expert here. Let's start.
No, the league is just more balanced and it's coming through in the results. It's like the bottom team in the league, Southampton, how much have they spent this year on players? 143 million euro, the bottom team. Like the levels of the Premier League versus these other leagues is not the same. Like they're buying, yes, they're not buying top players, but a guy like Kumaldeen that they're getting, he's playing for Southampton.
I know.
Like, this is a guy that be playing for a mid-table or a top team in Europe, and he's playing for the bottom team in the Prem, and they paid 30 million for him. It's not.
Isn't Walcott there?
No, but that's what I'm saying. There's levels to this. Like Lavia, Bazunu. Look at the players who are playing for the bottom team in the Prem.
Yeah,
they're young players, yes, which is why they're struggling, right? Because again, young players are going to be inconsistent. They're going to be up and down. So Southampton are bottom, but it's not because they don't have quality. It's just they're competing in a league where everybody's got quality. So it's that's the madness of it, right? It's like back in the day, Norwich would come up and it was clear they were going straight back.
Another 2 games or like 2 games, 3 draws. That's it.
That's it.
Now it's a madness that the teams come up and they're spending 200 million on players and they're buying quality players because they can afford to. Right, these teams just compete differently. I just think it's a much different league. It's a much more competitive league. You look at a team like Palace, Zaha, Olise, like Guehi. There's quality players at all of these teams now. It's not you're not playing the farmer from down the street. It's I just think the quality is a lot more evenly spread across the league, specifically from 6 down. And I just think the teams they got their heads about them as well with their recruitment, because even a team like Southampton, they're not having a great season. Yeah. I just think Southampton went too far to the left in terms of too many young players, and they were trusting experience in the wrong parts of the field. Like their entire defense is pretty young, right? So you can't do that in the Prem. Whereas they got quality in midfield, they got some experience up front, but they just at the back, they're just too inexperienced, and that's what's costing them every week. So you just got to look at these teams and just the quality and the swings that comes from the way that they're recruiting players, the way they're improving. That's the league we're in. And that's kind of why I think it could be anyone from 12 down. If you lose 2 or 3 games over the next 10, you catch yourself in the bottom 3, you might not get out.
I think the other thing is, I think the teams that are struggling now, there's just been too much instability with them. Almost all of them are fired coaches at some point this season, apart from maybe West Ham. Almost all of them are fired coaches. Crystal Palace fired the coach, Wolves fired, Leeds are fired, Everton has fired. Only Nottingham Forest, Leicester,
West Ham.
Everybody in that place are fired the coach this season. It's ridiculous. Like You need some stability. And I understand why there's a rush, there's a gold rush for the 150 million money to stay in the league. So immediately you got people, teams were just panicking. Nah, we have to fire. We have to, because nobody wants to go down. This is the first season, and that's why we're going to do the prediction of who's going to go down. I cannot genuinely tell you what three teams confidently is going down. I cannot.
I think Crystal Palace will go down. I think Palace will go down for sure. I also think Leicester are in more trouble than they know. I think they might be going down, and I don't know, maybe Southampton.
My three teams, well, Everton are going down. Everton are gone. Everton, see you later. Guarantee this is the year they don't do the miracle. Southampton, I don't want them to go, but I think though, I think Palace will stay. I think that was what people fussed about when Vieira got sacked. Apart from the fact that obviously I think they won a few games that were shot on goal or something, but they the toughest period for the rest of the season. They've just gone through, and then after that, the games get a bit easier.
Southampton, Forest, Leeds, Everton, Bournemouth. They're the ones that they're playing each other, but some of the fixtures are insane. Like Everton, I think Everton have got to play Spurs, United, Newcastle, City. In their last 10, I just in amongst head-to-heads. I just think Everton might be in a lot of trouble. And I don't know if they got enough firepower to keep themselves up. So I don't want them to go, but I think Everton might this year, like Ryan was saying. And then I think it's, for me, the other two is Southampton because of the inexperience at the back. And then the last one, probably Forest. Because even for all of the amount that they've spent, I just don't know if they've got enough, even with their home form, to keep. Forest can't win away, right? So they got to find a couple of results away from home, and I just don't see where they're getting those from to keep themselves up. So those would be the three. I think it's Southampton, Forest, and then Everton as the tearjerker for the people who love the Prem, because they've been around forever and they've been flirting with it. But I think this time they go.
Okay. Right.
If Everton go, I think they're dead as well, right? Because they got the FFP situation, they got the stadium. If they go down, they're in so much trouble. It's not even if Everton go down, you're talking City and a couple of divisions. It could be that bad.
Yeah, I agree. Stoke City, I could like Stoke City.
It
Personal opinion, I guess I'll just say mine quickly then. I think it's weird. It's a weird firing. I mean, they said everything that came out from the Athletic and all the journalists, Rafa Honigstein, that close to the club, say they did not like the way he lost. He went from being 10 points ahead of Dortmund to 2 points behind in a couple of months. The football is dreadful. The players complain about his training methods, and because of that, Tuchel was available. They wanted to cut ties in the summer. That's what I heard. But Tuchel told them he's available now, and because apparently in 2018, when Tuchel was available, they wanted to get Tuchel, and I think who was against it? Uli Hoeneß, their president at the time, I think, was against getting Tuchel. And while they were dragging their feet, he went and decamped and went to PSG. That's PSG manager. So they didn't want to make that same mistake again. So because they fired a manager, they paid 25 million euros to get from Leipzig. His contract was 65 million euros. They gave him a 5-year contract 2 seasons ago, I remember. And they pulled the plug. He's just 2 points behind Dortmund, which if he beats next weekend, he goes back to the top table. Dominated PSG, like a world PSG with Mbappe and Messi. That's crazy. And Neymar, I know it was injured second leg, but it was their first leg, if I remember. Dominated them. Didn't concede a goal against them. Has won 8 straight games in the Champions League. And still in the German Cup. I don't get it. I don't know what football has become, but I'm like, I didn't understand this.
I just felt like he didn't have that. I don't want to say coaching pedigree, but it felt like something was missing. But then again, this is Bayern Munich. If you have a decent head on your shoulders, you should be able to coach these amazing set of players to results. So honestly, winning, we call the German league a farmers league, obviously, because Bayern has, and unreasonable amount of resources compared to the other teams. So at this stage, going from 8 points ahead to 2 points behind Dortmund that just lost Haaland last year. I mean, Bayern don't really have a striker, but then again, the other players they have on their bench. Have you seen the bench normally when they play?
Yeah, it's incredible.
I remember Mourinho made a quote like, "Look, I was watching this Bayern Munich game and I looked at the bench. I saw Mane, Sane, and Nabry. I was just praying to God that I had just one of them, just one of them." But yeah, they have so much like a wealth of resources, and I can see how they can deem that underachieving. Now, the Champions League, yes, they've done well, but I think the thrashing of PSG was more about the how terrible PSG have become this year
Yeah.
versus how good Bayern were, as opposed to how good Bayern were rather. Um, and in a way, sometimes you have to look at it. It's easy to look at some results and be like, oh, okay, he beat PSG, so I mean, it means it's good. But then you have to look deeper. Like, have PSG been playing well this season? They're having issues right now too. I
Yeah.
mean, Tuchel was actually on their short list. Like, hey, we want to bring him back. Um, Now, why I don't really fault the Bayern guys is because they fired someone they thought was underperforming and hired a coach with pedigree. Unlike a team that I know so well, they fired Naglessman and brought in Tuchel, like a Champions League winner. Someone that's gone through the fire and come out like emerged successful. And I really don't have an issue with it.
It doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, the timing is kind of crazy, but you could see a lot of teams kind of waiting for this international break to kind of make the moves. So you kind of just know, based on how they did it and the timing, that this is a decision that they made in the last week. This has been going on probably before, and then the timing was just okay. We're going to do this before the international break or during the international break. So the timing doesn't surprise me. And then people forget what Bayern is. Like, Bayern is the German Real Madrid, Chelsea, like they're FC Hollywood. They do what they want when they want.
That's right.
And the last few managers that they've hired have been project managers, not resource managers. Like, since Pep, they haven't hired a manager that's got a big reputation, a big name, that's been used to working with big personalities.
That's true.
So if you think about, like, yeah, Nagelsmann came in and he had a reputation from Leipzig, but he's not that resource manager. He's not a Jose, he's not a Conte, he's not a Pep. Like, there's certain managers that are kind of built for those teams. They go in, they do what they do for the 2 years, and then they pass it on to the next guy. And I just, from the time I started to see him, like, they give him Cancelo and he's on the bench and he's not playing. Mane's on the bench and he's not playing. They just had a resource manager or project manager when they should have a resource manager at that club. So I think the timing was a little bit strange. I think the way that they did it didn't have a lot of class about it, obviously, because again, if you read behind the scenes of how it went and how he found out through the press and all the rest of it, not the most classy thing. But yeah, that it's Bayern. It's these teams. This is how they roll. When they make a decision, they go. They don't really care what anyone else thinks. But I just think the last few appointments that they've had, despite the relative success of keeping or retaining the league, they haven't had a resource manager. They've had these project managers, these younger guys that they've tried to kind of build around for the longer term. And I think this is just them kind of going back to what they know and what they believe the club should be doing, given their size.
Teams like Bayern, again, like Steven said, that is the Real Madrid of the German league. You know, they run things. You know, everyone sort of, if they ask for a player, it doesn't mean if it's the best player for any team in that league, they come running. You know, no questions asked, and they're not paying crazy fees because it's either that leave the country or you go to Bayern. There's no one else you're moving to within the German league. They just pick apart teams for whoever they want. I was a bit surprised with. You can tell it must have been something that was on the horizon for a little while, and they've just waited till this break so that they can, pull the trigger and get rid of him. I'm sure they've probably made contact with Tuchel well before this, and they just sort of expedited the process. I do feel as though, his career will bounce back, but it is a major hiccup because he is so young. I mean, what is he, 30? Is it 36? 37.
Yeah, 37.
I know he's very, very. Yeah, he's older than me. I'm 35. He's not much older than me, and leading the biggest club in Germany, one of the biggest clubs in the world. I still think it was shocking though, because ultimately, obviously, I think leagues like the Bundesliga, like League, they're dominated by team. The league is a given. What I'm surprised about is the fact that they were doing so well in the Champions League and decided to get rid of them. That's the last thing they'd want to disrupt. That league, should be. I guess they're used to wrapping it up quite early, around just after Christmas. That league is, done and dusted. But
Yeah,
Dortmund clawing the way back, clawing the way back like that. It is crazy.